Hi. Let me show you how we built this cab partition. I can do this. So this is my bulkhead, cab partition, cab wall, whatever you want to call it. I will talk later about the pros and cons of doing one or not, but right now I'm going to give you a quick tour. So over here we've got some coat hooks for coats, bags, etc. We've got some storage up here. This is just the shelf that already came built in the van, and there's access to that. Over here we've got a little storage space for toothbrush, soap, washing up liquid, that sort of stuff. We've got a little mirror. Say hi. Hi. This is on my access hatch, so I can get through to the front if I need to. Down here we've got some storage. Probably is going to look awful, but there you go. We've got bins, very glamorous. We've got some cider because I'm going to a festival soon, and I've got shoes. So mainly this is shoes, and it actually goes all the way around the side there, so it's just shoes galore. Perfect little spot for bins. And then over here I got more shoes and some drinking water. I've even put a little handle over here so that when I'm getting out I'm sure it helps. Oh, and a little light switch when I come in. And then this side is just carpeted, so it kind of blends in. It's a different colour obviously, but blends in a little bit to the cab aesthetic. And I got my little CCTV camera hiding up there. Well, it's not really hiding, it's right there, but there it is. Let's go back in time to the build footage, and I think I'm kind of explaining as we go how we build this, because we're kind of figuring it out as we go, making it work. It was fiddly, but yeah, you'll see how it develops. The backbone of the bulkhead is 2x3s. We've got 4 of them going straight from the floor up to the ceiling, and there's another one running along the top where the shelf is, which we can bolt directly into the chassis. And we've also used that same wood to finish the top and bottom of the hatch hole, so that whole area is really sturdy for when I'm climbing through and putting all my weight on it. The design of this was very much dictated by the shape of this particular vehicle. So I've got a Peugeot Boxer, and when you put a straight line down the back of the seats, you get a lot of dead space at the bottom because of the angle and the platform that the cab is sitting on. And I didn't want to lose that space, so we've used every little part that we can and built all the storage in at the same time. So we started off right down here, building this back as far as it would go underneath where the seat rails are, so we could get quite a good depth at the bottom here. So we built 2 shelves. This one's quite a bit deeper, about 5 to 10, I don't know, about 8 centimeters I think deeper than this one is. But obviously we wanted to get as much space as we could out of this area, and the reason we've had to do that is because obviously the seats come back to here. We can't build the bulkhead any further forward than that, so we've had to go straight down for the back in, but I didn't want to have all this dead space. Hence the cupboards. So there's going to be a cupboard door on here, 2 cupboards open in here, and then this will be blocked off by the kitchen, but I'll still be able to put things in here and just keep things in there. So my plan is to have shoes in most of these, and this bottom one I'm hoping I can find a couple of small bins so I can have those tucked away in there. So we started off this bottom bit. We kind of had this frame as well built out at the early stage, so we knew that there'd have to be a hole in the middle. I wanted initially to have a sliding door, but we realised that that wouldn't work because the seats are so high. Like, this is almost shoulder height for me, so yeah. So we've taken out the headrest, and then that's opened up a bit more space I can climb through. So we've built the frame around it. This has been secured with 2 really deep screws in here, and then brackets underneath as well for extra support. That's kind of wedged up to the ceiling, and then there's a couple of little soft pads at the bottom underneath, so that when we pull it in and out to get it in, it's not scratching the nice floor. So there's the built-in shelf at the top, so we've preserved that. There's this beam, which is kind of obscured now, but it's screwed into where the bulkhead, the original metal one, was bolted into. So we've just used the same holes and screwed into that. Now this piece is actually on top of, there's another section in between, so we've got a few chunks of wood on partially all the way down that are bolted in to there at a slight angle, because that is slightly angled, and then this attaches to that, and then this just sits in front. So we've got quite a bit of depth, and then to get around that here, I've carpeted this strip, and there's a lovely little groove here in the original driver's side, which we've just wedged that up and against and into, and then screwed this into the bar here all the way along, and we've used little gold screws and caps so that it looks as attractive as we can, because this will be visible at the end. We're going to add a frame along here. This will be my hatch hole, so I've carpeted up to the edge, and then we'll put a frame in later. So yeah, we started off with that main frame, and then kind of built upwards. So this shelf went in, then the backing went on. That's got a few pieces on the back to secure these together, and then we started sort of filling in these panels, screwing what we could from the other side, and then we took the whole lot out and completed the screws. Now over this side, we've done it at an angle, because obviously this would come out beyond the door, which I didn't want it to do, or not, you know, as far as the door. It gives us a bit more space here to put things on. So I'm going to have a grab handle go in here, because I'm quite short and it's quite a long way up to the van, so I can hold on to that and pull myself up. And then we've got this is ready for the light switch, for the mains light. It's going to go in there. And yeah, so this angle, we've got a piece which is just here actually. This has been cut already to go on, so that piece is going to cover on there. This piece here is really just to bring this out a bit further, because there wasn't enough space for it to clear the seats. So that clears the seats. This piece here is basically, its job is to receive these pieces so we can bolt through the back, which we've done. So they're, I say bolt, screwed. These are screwed in from behind. But then this piece itself has to then attach to the frame somehow. So behind here is metal strip, where there are again the bolt holes from the original bulkhead, and we've even kept the screws, so they will go back in soon. So this is screwed together from the back once we've moved it out slightly. This then screws all back in, so it bolts the whole thing in. So these are all bolted into the wall here for extra stability. So we've screwed together what we can for what we can reach, and then we took the whole structure out and carried on putting screws in where we couldn't get access from inside, and completing all of the ply on the cab side, just using whatever little pieces we had lying around, because we knew this would all be covered up with carpet. And then I covered it in carpet. But I've got these awkward bits down the end there and there, which I'm now working on doing. So I've just got a bit of cardboard template in there now, and once that's done, that'll be the cab side complete. Then we can finish off this side. So there's an awful lot of little fiddly bits of wood in this, and it's probably one of the most complicated bits we're going to have to build, because you're just trying to get around so many angles and things, and then also trying to preserve whatever space you can. But we're getting there. We are getting there. Just to show how awkward these end bits are, because we've got to try and fill in a piece here that comes around this curve. And I think I've figured it out on this side. So this is different anyway, because it's got that angle on the door entrance, but I've got to piece in here that goes from this side to this side. It's pretty much wedged in. This is just this cardboard template now. And then I've done a piece down here along this strip, which is also a slightly curved, so that needs editing as well. And then this little triangle up there to complete it. And then once that's all done in ply and carpeted, should look nice and neat, as long as I don't leave any little holes. If you want to do something the same or similar to this, I recommend when you make these base pieces that are behind the driver's seats, you go all the way to the edges and contour that, because we didn't, with the thinking that we're going to butt the end up so it won't matter anyway, but on this side it does. So now I'm having to make all these stupid little annoying pieces, like this bit and this bit and this bit, and of course these bits, so that I don't you know, drop my keys and lose them into a cavity that will never be accessed again. So yeah, just do this right to the edge first time, and then you won't be where I am. I do feel like I've gone on all day about these awkward little pieces, but it is a large amount of what we've been doing today. So this may look like a random jigsaw piece of wood with some carpet on, but it has a purpose. It actually fits perfectly, if I can do this with one hand, into this silly little hole here. Oh, look at that. And now I can screw through this into this. So that fills in this little gap down here, which actually looks pretty damn good. With the cab side complete, we then started working on finishing off the living area side. So we just used a nice big sheet of 6mm ply to cover most of this in one go, because we were going to paint it, so I don't want all those little joins this time. I removed the spaces for the openings, and then we filled all of the little crevices within the bulkhead structure with 25mm PIR insulation board. And we also cut a piece of ply to fit down that side angle in the doorway as well. Here is where we are with the bulkhead now. So we've got this front panel on. Mum's about to start painting it. So we've put a frame in here, which is just tongue and groove with the ends cut off basically. That's been panel pinned into the inside of the frame. And I've done the same up here for the access up at the top. This is a little space for soap, washing up liquid, that sort of thing, because the counter for the kitchen will be here in front. So yes, painting shall now commence. Now that the wall is done, we need some doors. So Dad's been making these. We've got a thick 18mm solid piece of ply for the hatch to the front. We've got the cupboard at the top to access the storage shelf. And then we've got the 3 at the bottom, which are thinner. They're just 9mm. Over here in the kitchen, when there is a kitchen, I'm going to have a pantry drawer down this side that pulls out. I've also got my shower in a drawer down here, which also needs to pull out. So I need to not have any kind of handles or anything protruding from this wall so that they clear it. So the only space I've got is the 18mm from the edge of this kitchen. So anything I put on here has to be less than that. I've since changed the fixtures for these. It was these toggle things that I turned and they just became too annoying, and the push things would start breaking. So I've just switched this out for a hole and a magnet. So these are almost done. And I think I mentioned earlier that I've got this extra storage around the side. So even though the kitchen's blocked off this area over here now, I can still shove all sorts of things down there that I won't use very often. My main shoes can live here, and then my once in a blue moon shoes can just tuck away over there. And I'm just about to attach the door up here. So this is just an access area for various bits and bobs. The cupboard here is going to have this shower mount on it. So I found this little bracket that's got an adjustable shower head holder, and then my shower head can fit in there. That will be inside the cupboard when it's closed. And then I've got my shower head ready to go in here. Right, I put this shelf cupboard back on now with the shower bracket mounted. I've got my shower in the holder, and that is ideally placed. I mean, I don't think I could get it much higher than that if it was in a cupboard, and it's higher than me, which is the main thing. And it's right underneath my fan, so I can ventilate as much as possible on max when I'm showering. And then this end will plug into the sink tap, which will be over here somewhere. And yeah, happy days. I got a shower in my van. And I put a little push catch up here, so the door closes and just pushes to open. And I plan to not put a handle on here because I don't want anything sticking out getting in the way of these cupboards, but I might, because that doesn't hold it from it doesn't keep it in place really, it's just held up by luck at the moment. I'm going to put a couple of toggles or something on here to keep that in as well. So that is the bulkhead nearly complete. All I've got left to do is put my hatch on here, which Mum is still painting because we weren't sure when we opened it if it would clear the worktop or not. So we've been waiting all the time to make sure that it fits, because I didn't want to take anything off of this. Now I've got the worktop in, we fit that to size, and there's a line there and it just clears. This is actually closer than it will be because we're currently just resting the kitchen in place. It does sit back a bit further. I'm just leaving it some breathing room to expand and in situ. So yeah, that's the last thing to go. Other than that, the bulkhead is pretty much done now. Hello, welcome back to the present day. I am now at a festival, hence the attire, but I needed to film this and I just wanted to come and say hi, so here we are. So I started running through the pros and cons of doing a bulkhead, which is what we're going to do now. So for me, I wanted a bulkhead for a few reasons. One is security. It is much harder if somebody were to break into your van via the front doors or the front windows, for them to come into the back area. So my back is much more secure, where all my belongings and everything are. I've got deadlocks on the doors as well, which helps, but it means that if somebody does break into the front, they then can't automatically get access to the back as well. The next reason is safety. In the event of a collision, a lot of things will go flying, and this wall basically protects me from having a saucepan to the head or whatever it is. I see a lot of people do vans and they just got a curtain or nothing to the back, lots of things sort of hang in as a storage solution. The problem with that is that you can get much more injured than you would if you didn't have these things flying around. And also privacy. So around the access hatch, I've put this small piece of draft excluder around the sides, which means that from the front in the dark at night, if I'm in the back with all of the lights on, you can't see through the front of the cab that anybody's in the back. Whereas if you had a curtain, that light would come through and it just maybe makes you feel more vulnerable, especially if you're a woman on your own, that people are aware that you're in the van. So I get much more privacy having that complete screen. And I also get much better insulation and temperature control. So it's really hard to control the temperature in the cab because you've got so much window. In the winter it gets really cold, and in the summer it gets really hot, and having an insulated wall in between the two areas just really helps to control the temperature at a more comfortable level in your living area. And it really reduces moisture as well, so when you're cooking you don't have all that condensation going onto the front windows. And in the winter, when it's moist in the front, it doesn't get moist in the back. God, that sounds bad. Someone's going to quote that in the comments, aren't they? And it feels more homely. So I have this nice attractive wall which looks the same aesthetic as the rest of the van or the rest of the living space. It doesn't look like I'm in a vehicle, which is not how I wanted to live. I didn't want to be able to see car seats and the controls and everything. I wanted it to feel like my own little home, and it does because I've got that separation. And of course it allows just for those few extra little storage opportunities which I wouldn't have had if I had that space there. Probably there'd be other ways of doing it, but it's been really useful for me to have space for shoes and bins, which are things that a lot of people seem to forget to plan for when they're doing a build. On the other hand, having the bulkhead is a lot more work to build. Obviously that's more time, more money, more weight. It does make it harder to access the front to the back, which is an advantage that you might want to have if you wanted to not have to get out the van and walk around. That's why I have the hatch. But as you saw earlier, it's not the easiest to climb through. So yeah, you might just want to be able to just zip back and forth, in which case it's much easier to have that space. And it also does close off the space slightly smaller, right? So if you didn't have the bulkhead, you could put swivel seats in. You could use that space as part of your seating area. So if that's the kind of layout that you want, that's a better way of doing it perhaps. For me, it was a really clear decision. I knew that I wanted it this way. But maybe if you've got a smaller wheelbase, having that extra seating at the front can make a really big difference in what you have facilities wise in the back, if that's the only place that you've got for seating. And I know some people love it that way. It just wasn't for me. So that concludes the bulkhead tour and build information. One more thing I wanted to mention is that I've been building this website where I've listed all of the items that I've used throughout the whole build. The materials, the electrical parts, even the accessories that I'm living with that I found really useful for our van life. It's all there on this one page, and you can look at it as a gallery view of photographs, or you can look at it as a list. I don't know why I'm gesticulating so much, but I'll put a link up here and I'll put a link in the description. But if you're doing a build, go check that out. It will probably save you a lot of time. The research involved in the van build was way more intensive than I ever imagined. I did a lot of research, so everything on that list is tried and tested. I've had it in the van for at least a year, and I wouldn't put it on the list if I wasn't happy to vouch for it. So check that out. It is affiliate links, so if you click through and buy something, I might get a little bit of compensation from that company. The cost is the same to anybody else. It's just a little way to support the channel and also hopefully make your lives a bit easier. I know that I mentioned some of the shower in this video, so I'm going to do one on that soon and show you how all of that works and how we built it, etc. So I will see you at the next video. Bye!